Streaming on. Well, good morning, everybody. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, ZMH286, Patricia and David. I don't suppose there's too many up at this hour, but anyway, we are, because it's a beautiful day. Really, really lovely day after all the mess that we've had. Clear blue skies. First laundry day in a while. We have quite cold temperatures though. 14 degrees due to the clear skies and the 2 knots from the southwest. Actually, there's a bit of cloud to the east. 20% cloud cover to the east, but the rest of it's absolutely glorious blue. And the air is so clean after the torrential rain and electrical activity we have had. The barometer is up to 1014.5 and it is now steady. So the few people on their way, a lot left yesterday, so good morning to you all. I know it was pretty lumpy leaving Fiji, according to the report from Amazing Grace. They are now down at 1908 and 176, and they've got 18 to 20 south-southeast, 50% cloud cover, 1.5 metre seas. So slightly better than it was yesterday, which will help the tummy settle, I suppose. Going across to the other side, Shamata, who left New Caledonia, they are now at 3032. 17330 with 7 knots of easterly, so motoring there but slowly to sort of deal with the front that will be coming through. 0.5 metre southwest swell, clear sky, so quite a nice day. 279 miles to go, so not too bad there. Pilgrims just left Port Vila, so good morning to you both. Another adventure. I did chuckle to see that Frank was on his way. Frank is at 24 and 16739. So 24 and 16739 with 8 knots of east-southeast, 5% cloud cover, 1017, a gentle swell from the southwest, and all is well. I wonder if Erie 2 is with you. Anyway, and what have we got? Fusio is on their way too from New Caledonia, 32. 14 and 172. So sunny. They're very brief with their reports. It's sunny. They had a good day yesterday, and they will be arriving Opua tomorrow morning when the wind picks up a little bit more. Anyway, the looks like it might be a little bit northeastish, but not much else there. Scoots, partly cloudy. They are at 1746. And 17722. So they are streaking ahead. Oh, no, they're not. They're, oh, that's right, they did start a bit later. That's still in dinner hour. So, I guess they'll be giving people a head start before they head off. All right, so good morning to you, everybody. Bit of news this morning. I wanted to start, well, actually, I'll leave that to the end. Maybe a few people will be on by then. But those that are on their way, particularly from New Caledonia, but also the others that are coming to New Zealand, will be having the effects of the Australian smoke. These terrible fires that they've got, really, really bad, that we talked about yesterday. But we are expecting a lot of particulate smoke today, actually, in New Zealand, particularly in Northland. And those of you who are on their way from New Caledonia will certainly be seeing some rather beautiful sunsets. But by midnight tonight, evidently, it will be quite dusty. So you will know the reason for that, and the bushfires, which are really, really quite dramatic. So another bit of interesting historical news. In Japan, near Okinawa, in fact, a submarine that has been a US submarine, it's the USS Greyback, that went missing 75 years ago with 80 on board. It has been found. It turned out that the interpretation of where the Japanese said it was sunk was slightly misinterpreted, and so they've now sorted that out, and they have found the submarine. It is down 1,427 feet, so I guess it's going to stay there. but it was a very successful submarine in terms of doing its job. It just sunk 2 Japanese cargo ships, and it was ordered back to Midway because it only had 2 torpedoes left, but it never actually got there. So it was reported lost in March 30th, 1944. Okay, a bit of news from home here. A tourist set off from Port Abercrombie. Those of you who have been to Great Barrier Island will know Port Abercrombie. She set off in her kayak and unfortunately managed to get separated from it. Yes, a wake came and off she went. But she got swept off to one of the little islands offshore Great Barrier, camped overnight, and then swam back again. She must have been a fairly competent sort of person with the water. Anyway, she wandered up to the police headquarters where they were trying to find her. Helicopter was up, and anyway, she showed up, and all is well. But yes, you do have to be very cautious of being swept offshore. The winds, and that's what I know that those of you who are here now will know that the winds can be quite strong, just bursts of them, and it is quite difficult in a kayak to do anything about it. I usually put on my life vest in a kayak, despite the fact that sometimes you take off and it's really, really hot. But you never know quite what will happen if you're on the outskirts. A bit of local news for those that are from New Zealand and particularly from the Bay of Plenty. The Mills Reef Winery in Bethlehem, it's a beautiful property in a very lovely Art Deco type building with a restaurant and wine tasting room and so on and so forth, and their wine is very nice. Anyway, urban sprawl has done its thing, and now the land is too valuable and they are closing it down and moving to a new site. They've been there 25 years. The new site is about 2.5 kilometres south of Katikati, so hopefully it will be at least another 25 years before the city of Tauranga creeps up there. The current site is a 12.5 hectare site, which is in Moffat Road, where the big roundabout is. You hang left instead of carrying on north. It's going to be yet another retirement village, and they will keep the Art Deco building, retain it to be a communal centre for the village. This is what's happening, folks. I guess it's not just New Zealand, but the encroachment of cities, the enlargement of cities has meant that things like stock car tracks, gun ranges, events parks, even beautiful agricultural farming that we've got just south of Auckland here at Pukekohe, that's all endangered. Some of it's actually gone now to more housing. It's just one of those creeping things that unfortunately, I don't know when it will stop. We had actually hoped that the farming area would be preserved. It is the breadbasket actually for the Auckland area, but not so. Anyway, that's what's happening with the Mills Reef Winery. An interesting article about tourism in New Zealand. Tourism now is actually our major income earner. It's $16.2 billion last year. China, Australia, the US are the main people, but the Chinese business is down, about a 10% drop in those coming from China. Frankly, I think it's actually good that the tourism numbers are down. It's still 1.99 million people in the last 12 months. That's a lot of people, particularly in the main tourist areas. There does come a time when you have to limit tourism, as they have found in places like Italy and Venice. So anyway, that is down. 13% of the workforce, however, is connected with tourism, indirectly or directly. And folks, when you are touring through New Zealand, you foreign folk, don't be surprised that the person who serves you your coffee in a little restaurant will be not a New Zealander. We have a lot of foreign students come for the summer, and they work right throughout the country on working holidays. And there is absolutely no point in asking them any questions because they don't know. All right, I did want to cover, because we had a couple of queries about how to get weather in New Zealand, and we certainly don't do weather for New Zealand. There is a magnificent weather system for people in New Zealand. Now, those of you who are near marinas can ask the marina people for 2 booklets. One is the Boaties Handbook. It's got all of the marina information alphabetically. Well, it's actually not alphabetically, it's north to south. So get the Boaties Handbook. I'm looking at the one from 2019, but the new one is out. It's actually at our marina now. Haven't gone down to get it. But it's got all of the detail from all of the marinas in the country, contact telephone numbers, how big they are, who to contact, and so on and so forth, whether they've got fuel, etc., etc. And it's got all of the businesses associated with the marine industry. It's got tidal information, what's on in the way of some of the yachting stuff throughout the country. So that's just called the Boaties Handbook. Get hold of a copy of the Boaties Handbook. Now, the other important one is the Radio Handbook, and I know this is at both Opua Marina and throughout the Whangarei place, because I made sure that Maritime Radio sent them vast numbers. But this is a really useful book. Now, this is where you would find how to get your weather. And there are probably 3 main places for weather. If you're on the internet, go to metservice.com. metservice.com and go to marine, and you will find that the area forecasts are there, the warnings are there, the recreational areas are there, and no problem at all. But when you're out on your boat, you will want to use your VHF. Now, the weather forecast from Metservice comes out about 4 times a day. So if you leave your VHF on channel 16, they do announce when it will be on, and then they will switch you to 7, 6, 8, 7, 1, or so on, depending on where you are. If, for example, you are up north, the Kaitaia, you will be on 16 or channel 71. Whangarei area is channel 16 or channel 67. Auckland, we have channel 16 and channel 71. So they will announce it on channel 16, and you will go to the respective channel for your area. There are a lot of things happening on all channels here in New Zealand, folks. So if you want to chit-chat, you are required to use only channel 6 or 8. Channels 6 or 8. So if you do want to chit-chat, those are the channels to use. And don't forget, we use the international, this is for you American folk, make sure your VHF is set onto the international setting. And if you are chatting to somebody close by, please make sure you are on low power. Now, the other option is what we call nowcasting. And the easiest way to find the nowcasting for your area, and this is a continuous broadcast of the weather for your area and the next one usually. So just tune through the VHF channels and you will find one that's a continuous recording. I think this is organised by New Zealand Coast Guard, and they put them on fairly quickly when there's a new broadcast or new weather forecast. So just tune around and find the one for your area. There will be ads in between time, but just find what we call nowcasting, and that is your continuous update of the weather in New Zealand. Okay, good morning to those folks that are on streaming. Not too many now, down to about 11 listening live, so I'm sure by tomorrow there will be a few more. And Scoots, in fact, is in dinner out deciding on whether to go or not. I know a couple of people have decided to wait out this arrival, but we'll see what David's got to say in a minute. Eagles Wings, Port Vila, 2 knots of northeast, 1013.5, bit of cloud, but the Newcastle and Vanuatu are looking pretty good, except for the top of Vanuatu. Ballots and dinner hour, again, same conditions, light to southeast, they reckon. Final shopping today. Don't buy too many vegetables unless you're going to have a very long trip, because don't forget, when you arrive in New Zealand, folks, all your fruit and vegetables will be removed. Okay, a message for David. This is a little bit late, but we'll see if he can cope with this before he starts. Leaving today from Vandy, arriving Wednesday the 20th. David is going to talk about that front and the complex low near New Zealand Monday through Wednesday. So last night he reckoned it wasn't too much, but anyway, we'll see what he has to say on this one. The EC model and the GFS model still think it looks okay. Okay, right. Well, it's probably time at this point, 1 minute past the hour, whatever the hour is in your part of the world. I know we've got a lot of activity here in the next hour. Well, in one more hour, we're going to have our house pressure wash. Usually I do that every year, but I've run out of energy and time, and we are now going to have a company come and do it with the extra strong pressure wash machine. So that will be exciting in the next hour. It's nothing like sitting watching other people work. Okay, here's David.
Yeah, well, if you think we had leaks before, after they get done with their high pressure. Well, good morning. And yeah, a gaggle of yachts have left the islands, most for New Zealand, few heading in other directions. We'll see what's overhead briefly. My favorite level, as you know, 500 millibar. So if you're looking at your charts, you'll see a fairly sharp shortwave trough that's just east of New Zealand. The axis is around 170 west, give or take on that. And over New Zealand, we've got a nice little ridge. And to its west, we've got another shortwave trough. The axis in the mid-Tasman about 155 east. And by now you'll have a pretty good idea, listening to me all season, on how the upper levels do control the surface weather. So under that eastern ridge, we find a 1026 high, and that's centered about 36 south and 152 west. So it's way out there. But I mention it because it's very slow moving, and it does control the speed at which everything goes east to west. It helps to control it. Under the second ridge, which is over New Zealand, that's where the other high is. It's weak at the moment, about 1020 millibar central pressure, and it's centered, well, more or less between New Zealand and New Caledonia. Now, the 500 trough that's in the Tasman has brought a very complex cyclonic system, multiple lows, fronts, troughs. All of these cover the mid to the southern Tasman, and it covers New Zealand and just to the east of New Zealand. In fact, we've got a messy little depression that's over the Chathams, to give you an example, as how broad this whole system is. Now, the next front to reach New Zealand will be Thursday, that's tomorrow, and it extends itself to Australia, sort of makes landfall between Brisbane and Bundaberg. And while it's at it, it takes a swipe at Norfolk Island. Now, those of you who left New Caledonia yesterday, apparently quite a few boats, you should be arriving New Zealand Sunday the 17th. Now, per the EC model, as you have looked, you can expect northwest winds about 15 to 20. Now, the front is behind that, of course, coming along, and that should arrive Monday the 18th. Originally, we thought the 19th, but a little bit quicker. So we're looking at the 18th. Now today, at about 27 south, you can expect light air, but Thursday, you will strike the New Zealand cold front. So those of you that are heading south, I reckon that at around Thursday, you'll be at 27. And that is one of the cold fronts that's gone through New Zealand. So it extends up, like I say, in a bit of an arc. And you should be near Norfolk Island at that point in time. So the winds around Norfolk are going to be west to northwest, about 15 to 25. And then when the front goes by, they're going to shift to a southerly direction, about 10 to 15, not very strong. Seas about 2.5 meters. Now by Friday, the front will have passed. And by then, you'll be around 31 south, and you'll have some fairly light air again. And on Saturday, nearing New Zealand, northwest, I'd say 15 to 20 knots. So the Sunday arrival, so far, looks pretty good for you people that have left New Cal yesterday. Now those leaving Fiji for New Zealand should have a reasonable window. Even those of you that are going to be waiting until maybe Friday of this week to leave, your arrival would be probably Saturday, about the 23rd. As of today's model runs, this voyage looks okay. Now, EC does call headwinds on Thursday the 21st through Saturday the 23rd. And the reason for that is this is, according to them, the east side of the oncoming high. You could picture that, I think. Now, GFS doesn't agree with this, but only time will tell which one is right. GFS does not show the headwinds. They show some fairly nice winds. So either way, either arrival with a nice slide into the Bay of Islands, according to GFS, or attacking exercise per EC. There are no vicious cold fronts at that point to contend with. So let's just say, assuming that today's models are reasonably accurate, you should have a fairly decent run. And by the way, late departures from New Cal, if you do not and have not left and are waiting a day or so to leave New Caledonia, say Friday or Saturday, arrival then would be about Friday the 22nd. That looks okay as well at this point. So we'll see. That's over 200 hours out. So quite a long way for a model to be accurate. But if that's what your plan is, so far it looks like it may work out for you. Well, in the tropics, our Solomon's Trough, still active, still around, running over the Santa Cruz Islands, then heading for northern Fiji, goes over Tonga, and then southeastward from there. So for Tonga, this trough is very slow moving. So you could expect a mix of fair weather, cloudy weather, scattered showers, maybe some heavy falls at times. And there is still a heavy rain warning and flash flood advisory for the complete chain, and a strong wind warning and small craft advisory. A little bit of everything for Tonga. The official forecast is from north to northeast, 10 to 15, rising 20 to 25 at times later today. The winds will be tending west to northwest, later shifting south to southwest tomorrow. Early this morning for Tonga Tapu, barometric pressure 1012.4, 1012.4 millibar. And Friday, Fiji's trough is also slow moving, especially over the northern and the eastern areas. A little bit better to the south, far better to the south. So expect occasional showers in the northern bits, heavy at times. Throw in some thunderstorms, and that's pretty much your day. Heavy falls could lead to flash flooding, so be careful if you're inland. Expect northeast to southeast winds 10 to 15, mainly southeast later on. Tomorrow looks like southeast 15 to 20. And over at Vanuatu, that shows scattered cloud on imagery this morning. The central islands show the best weather, actually. So you can expect mostly fine conditions, partly cloudy later on. Southeast winds about 15 to 20, seas about 2 meters. Tomorrow, much the same, southeast 15 to 20. And New Caledonia, they also show scattered cloud on imagery. So you could expect east-southeast to southeast in the 10 knot range, picking up maybe to about 15 a little bit later. Tomorrow, east to east-northeast around 10, shifting to east-southeast. And on Friday, we're looking at 15 knots east-southeast. Saturday, 15 to 20, and mostly easterlies at that point. The outer reef early this morning, the actuals east-northeast to east, 8 to 13 was reported. Ile de Pan east-southeast to southeast, 3 to 6, not much air at all. And Nemea east to east-northeast, about 8 to 13. And the pressure there, for you checking your barometer, 10, 15.3. 1015.3 millibar. So that's it. Fairly short today. Not much to talk about. Thanks for your reports as you're on your way. I appreciate them. And we'll see what it looks like tomorrow. Here's the chief now.
And a report's come in from Makushla. Quite a few people going to Oz this year. Must have heard about our weather. 1838 and 16016, 13 to 15 east northeast. Boy, you couldn't ask for much better than that, could you? 50% cloud cover, 1 metre southerly swell, and 1014. Got a positive current too. Goodness, the world is smiling on Mark. 7.5 knots he's going, so must have the crew on board. All right, that's about it from me as well. I will do a pause here. I see Gone with the Wind is still pondering whether to depart from New Zealand. The weather is lovely today, and no sign yet of this gritty city stuff from Australia. So a very nice day here in New Zealand. Anybody with anything, please call. I heard somebody, but I'm going to need a relay. Could you say your boat name a couple of times, please? Oh, hello, Alan. Quintessa. I was also looking for Tuaki, who's out there somewhere, but we don't seem to be able to copy him. Quintessa, what are your thoughts? When are you guys coming home? Over? Well, we'll see what we can do, Alan. You might have a better connection with the wind gods than us, though. We can only report it. So anyway, we'll see what you do. Let us know if you can send us an email before you head off. That would be good. Alrighty. Okay, and good morning to Denise as well. All right. I think, well, David will be looking at things again tomorrow to see whether anything has changed, but today is pretty much what he talked about yesterday, so not too much different, really. All right, we've got Pilgrim setting off. That's about it from us. Is there anybody else? Oh, Tuaki is there, in fact. See what you can do, Andrew. Tuaki, good morning, Tony. See if you can make copy with eye candy. Tuaki, go ahead. Well, it looks like they may leave tomorrow.
Which night?
Well, it might leave tomorrow. As I say, thank you. I'm going to turn off streaming because I don't think there's anything else.